easy answer. Diego Corrales, Jose Luis Castillo, 1, is the best action fight in recorded boxing history. Maybe there's better action fights that they didn't have video for, but I've never seen one as good as that. I flew out to watch that fight just as an observer, and it's the greatest sporting event I've ever seen.
What was so exciting about it?
It was for the real lightweight title. It was not just the belt, but it was the lineal lightweight championship of the world. And these two guys went into a phone booth, and they had technique for guys in a phone booth. I mean, they weren't going to box like Floyd Mayweather, but they were in close in the trenches, and they went on a high level from round 1 up until the finish, and it kept building and getting better. And after the first round, you thought, oh my God, how much better can this get? And it kept getting better and kept getting better. And just when it looked like Castillo was about to finish him, Corrales comes back. I mean, it was just, I thought Arguello and Pryor, their first fight, was, going to be tough to beat in my lifetime, but I think it did it. I think Corrales and Castillo did it.
By the way, that's my favorite fight, Arguello
and Pryor, the first one.
Yeah. The first one.
Oh man, like so many fights come to my mind right now. Like Lennon Hagler, probably Lennon Hagler, probably one of the greatest fights because the way, Lennon Hearns, because of the build-up of the fight. You know what I'm saying? Like Tommy Hearns was a big guy and everything like that. And he got knocked out by Hagler. You know what I'm saying? Hagler is one of my favorites.
Are you talking about Hearns Hagler?
Hearns Hagler, yeah.
Okay, that's your
fights. Well, there's 3 of them. Number 1 is Diego Corrales and Castillo, the first one. That was a fight that everybody expected to be a war, and it was, and even surpassed that with drama, knockdowns. It was so exciting that you saw fighters who never get that excited running around the arena, jumping up and down, like James Toney and Winky Wright. They were like little children. I said it was amazing to see it because, their friend had won. But that was probably the best fight I ever saw. And then number 2 was Marco Antonio Barrera versus Erik Morales. Barrera had already been knocked out, so everybody thought no way would he beat Morales. And that fight was like, from the very first punch, they were just like killing each other. And he would say, oh, that's the last blow. No, that's the last blow. And they would just keep going. It was unbelievable because they didn't get tired. And then, third was Paulie Ayala and Johnny Stopper. And it's weird that Paulie Ayala was at the arena yesterday at Mandalay Bay, and I'm talking to him, and I said, Paulie, what do you think about that fight? He says, that was my best fight. And then he didn't know that they had that big flag in the top of the arena. He didn't know he was on it. And I said, that's you. And he goes, really? He looked up there, and he was amazed. And but that fight was, nobody thought it was going to be a great fight, and it turned out to be one of my best of all time.
I remember as a kid seeing Danny Ludovit Lopez and who was it? He had the war with the other Mexican kid. Who was it? What the hell was his name?
Danny Ludovit Lopez. I saw him at the barbershop a couple of months ago, but I forgot.
And the guy, who did he fight? Another Mexican, the other kid around. What's his name? Was it? Not Ruben Alvarez, but no. I don't know, one of the Mexican kids. That was like one of the best fights I ever seen as a kid.
Do you remember where it was?
It was in Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali and Sonny Liston.
1 or 2?
I think it was the one where he stood over him. Get up! Like that.
Okay.
I like that pose.
Okay.
And then that's one of them. That's not the one I really like. And Shane. It's not the greatest fight of all time, but I like it. Shane fought him at the Pachinga Casino. I can't remember his name, but he knocked him out in the 10th round. I said, Shane, they got this guy winning a fight. Shane went out and knocked him out in the 10th round, a left hook.
Pachanga?
Yeah, Pachanga.
Who was it?
I'm trying to think who was it.
Was he still at lightweight?
He was Puerto Rican. No, he moved to 47. He was a lightweight. He moved to 47 from lightweight.
Was it Quintana?
No. Oscar fought him. Fernando Vargas fought him. I think Fernando Vargas fought him. He knocked Fernando down. Fernando got up and then beat him. But Oscar fought him. Pernell Whitaker fought him. Then Shane fought him and knocked him out. He's the only fighter in history to go from lightweight to welterweight and knock the opponent out.
Okay, I'll look him up.
Wilfredo Rivera.
Wilfredo Rivera. Okay.
That's who it is.
Come on, there's too many of them. All right, Joe Gatti and Mickey Ward, their first fight was a great fight. Castillo and Corrales, their first fight was a tremendous fight. You go back, Bose Edwards back in the 70s with Bazooka Lamone and Bobby Chacon with Bazooka Lamone and with Bose Edwards. Those guys had a lot of great fights. There's been so many. I mean, this is a sport that's rich in history. It goes back many, 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 many years. So there's a lot of great fights.
But what is...
Well, there have been too many great fights that I've covered. But the biggest event I've ever covered was Ali Frazier won at Madison Square Garden in 1971. It was an extraordinary emotional time. The whole world seemed wired into that fight. But there have been many others. I mean, the first big fight I ever covered was Sugar Ray Robinson and Carmen Basilio at Yankee Stadium, and sitting nearby were Joe DiMaggio and Ernest Hemingway, two of my heroes. It couldn't have gotten any bigger. So there have been many great fights since that time. But some of them transcend just being a fight. They become an event, what I call an event. And that's why we do this.
Favorite fight of all time, probably Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns, because I was probably about 18 or 19, and I was terrified for Leonard. I live in Maryland. He's from Maryland. He was a hometown boy, and I really thought that Thomas Hearns had all the tools to beat Leonard. And Leonard ended up having to be the brawler. He had to be the boxer. He had, not the brawler, he had the boxer, he had the brawler, but he had to be the puncher. And Thomas Hearns ended up being the boxer, puncher. There was not one instant in that fight of letdown. It was intensity from start to finish. I haven't seen before or since that, in my mind, that amount of skill and athleticism and talent and resolve in one fight. And in my mind, I'm not sure the fight should have been stopped. And the other thing is, after 12 rounds, if it was a 12-round fight, Leonard loses because he was behind on the cards. Right. It was a 14th round knockout. So.
I'll mention a couple probably. The best one I've ever announced was Jose Luis Castillo and Diego Corrales. The second best I ever announced was Hagler Hearns, which was great, but Castillo Corrales was 3 times that, so those are probably my 2 favorites. And I'll tell you one of my favorite fights that I've viewed that might surprise people, Kenny Norton and Larry Holmes. I just think that fight is so compelling and so interesting and so close, it interests me.
It's real simple with me. It's Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier won March 8, 1971 at Madison Square Garden, because I was fortunate enough as a little boy to be with Muhammad Ali, right leading up to that fight. In fact, I was with him up until 10 days before that fight. It didn't go the way I wanted or Ali wanted. Joe Frazier won a fantastic unanimous 15-round decision. He floored Ali in the 15th and final round. And we ended up, as fate would have it, we ended up doing the final show with Joe Frazier before he passed away. So Ali Frazier won March 8, 1971, without question, my favorite fight ever. Okay.